Hit go. I think we just gotta do it.
All right, ready? 1, 2.
Mine has a 3-second lag.
Okay, 1, 2. Is it recording? Okay. Hello, we are here with Kristina Rosario. I'm so excited to open up this conversation so you guys can get to know her and understand the magic that Buti is.
Hey everyone.
So Kristina, who also goes by Tina, I'm gonna end up saying Tina most of this time because that's what I call you. So just so you guys are aware who I'm referencing, there's not a third person in this room.
There's not. Yeah. So me.
So Tina, tell the audience a little bit about yourself, like outside of Buti.
Wow. Okay. So my name is Kristina. Some people know me as Tina. Where to start with that question? So I live in Allentown and I'm a nurse, classically trained nurse, I guess. I've been a nurse since 2014 when I graduated from Bloomsburg University, and I've worked in a hospital, I've worked in a doctor's office, and now I most recently work to educate newer nurses, so newly graduated nurses. So that's what I do, I guess, outside of Buti. Love to travel, hang out with my friends, be outside, the beach, all those things. To eat, I like to eat too. Good food, new restaurants, and yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Tell them a little bit. I know even with nursing recently, you did kind of make a transition in what your role is.
So I kind of get messed up with COVID and all the years. It's a blur. But basically COVID forced me to have some more time. I think everyone did. And I had the opportunity to go back to school. So I did that and I got my master's in nursing education, and I finished with that degree last June. So June 2022. And I had a great opportunity to join my Department of Education. So it was a really big transition. I was very used to working in clinical practice. So once a nurse, always a nurse. If you're a nurse, you know that. So it was a big transition for me to go from patient care to now just educating. So I'm like on the complete forefront, the before front and the after front, I think, of what nurses do at the bedside or in the doctor's office. But that was really, really huge for me, because I just feel like I'm such a people person. Like I like being around people and caring for people. So, this is a completely different type of caring for people, because I can't actually physically touch the people. I'm caring for the nurses that are then caring for these individuals, like on the front line, so to speak.
Yeah. And I think that's really cool because you get to have a greater impact. Like you were able to take what you learned from your personal experience as a nurse and go one step above that. And now that you know like the ins and outs and you're in this new role, I feel like it gives you the ability to really understand what they're going through and even just be a better leader, because you kind of like worked your way up in that sense and you have a lot more perspective. Because I think sometimes higher up roles haven't actually like worked their way up, and so sometimes they kind of lose the piece of, hey, like what's actually impacting our people, like what are their lives actually like.
Yeah, and that's an important aspect of what I do now, because I work with a lot of the newly licensed nurses, so they're within a year of their practice, and it's really important to keep that perspective. And I'm not too far off from it. I'm about 9 years into being a nurse now, so it's still, I keep it close to me because I remember those feelings of triumph and also despair at the same time, and feeling a little bit loss of control and not knowing where to go next or how to handle a certain clinical situation. So it's definitely important. And you said something that a lot of professional development specialists and nurse educators told me, because I had that same question when I asked this in my interview. I said, how do you feel like stepping away from clinical like the clinical side, and they said you're able to touch so many more lives, and you said just exactly like how they responded to me with that question. I just find it interesting.
I love that. Yeah, because that's like a really good way to look at it, because sometimes it feels like you're losing that personal touch, but you're actually expanding your reach. So it's kind of, yeah, it's just like a different energy, I imagine. But
yep, it surely is.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, what's one thing that really led you into this career with nursing, and then also twofold, what led you to Buti?
That's such a big question.
I know. Let's start with one. I'm sorry to throw you two questions.
Sometimes it's hard. I'm like, why did I become a nurse? You know, what was I doing? I always say if I wasn't a nurse, I'd be a teacher, and now I get to be both. Yeah. So that's really cool, you know, from a personal perspective. But I always really cared for people deeply, and I wanted them to like be their best self, their favorite self, which can transpire into both of those questions there. And, you know, nursing is kind of where I found my niche. I had a lot of opportunities through high school to get, more exposure to the nursing realm and just, you know, the medical field in general. So I'm really fortunate, and, you know, I look back and I'm like, wow, like I really had some good opportunities that helped me to kind of find the path I wanted to be. I can't lie, like going into college, I'm like one of the first in my family to go to college, so I had no idea what that was about. Neither did anyone in my family. No idea what nursing school, quote unquote, was like. You hear about it now, like, you know, oh, it's horrible, this and that. And yeah, it was kind of brutal looking back. Like, it was extremely stressful. I think I caused myself a stomach ulcer at one point after I graduated. But, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, I guess. And when I look back at those times too, I'm like, wow, that was grueling, but I felt really prepared for what I was about to go into as, you know, a professional nurse. When I am the nurse now, it's not just like, oh, she's the student. No, I'm the nurse now. So I felt really prepared for that, and really, you know, just caring about people. But I always knew, like, there's got to be more to this. There's got to be more out there. There's got to be more that I can do. There has to be like a different perspective, a different avenue. And I also, kind of getting to like the Buti side of things now, I always liked like being athletic, you know. We played soccer together. I also played field hockey in high school, so we were all like, I was always like, you know, athletic and the fitness type of thing. I also really like to dance, so this is kind of setting the background for everything now. I was never a classically trained dancer, but like put on some music and I'll be the first one out there dancing. Don't know what steps I'm doing, you know, half the time kind of make it up, just go with the flow. That also gives a little background of Buti, I guess. And yeah, I remember like doing Zumba classes, and I was like, oh, I really want to do this one day. Like, I want to be the one teaching the class. Like, I love this. Like, look at everyone having so much fun, and like they're being active, and they're just like loving their life. And I wanted to do that one day. So long story short, you know, things kind of shift around. Graduated from college, gonna start my nursing career pretty soon, but I definitely took that summer off because girlfriend needed some time off and some fun. And I got trained in some like fitness platforms, Insanity, and that's kind of where the group fitness started to take off. Shortly after that, I got certified in another type of HIIT training, and then there I go. I'm teaching HIIT training 2 times a week, stacking my nurse schedule so I can teach classes at like local gyms when I'm not working. So nurse by day, or nurse by night at that point, because I was working night shift. Nurse by night and fitness instructor by day. And that just kind of kept evolving. And then, you know, there was just certain friends in my life, and they actually introduced me to yoga. I mean, sure, everyone's heard the word yoga, but did I practice it or know what it was? Was I exposed to it like through some of like my college friend groups? Like, no, not at home. So I really got exposed through two friends that I hold very dear to my heart. And, you know, I just kind of started practicing on my own, or like watching videos, and then randomly started going to yoga studios around the area. And I really loved hot yoga just because it was intense and I love the intensity of it. And, you know, it feels pretty good when you leave the class and the fresh air just hits you in the face. And you're like, wow. I guess if you could see me being a little theatrical with that. With my hands.
The whoosh.
The whoosh of the air. So just got more involved in yoga and practicing and just really, you know, liking it. Still teaching like my fitness classes. And then one day I was sad because of a situation that happened in my life. And I just felt like crap, you know, like the world was ending, although it was most definitely not ending whatsoever. It was probably opening up for me. But needless to say, I was really upset, down in the dumps, was not feeling confident, was not feeling beautiful, was not feeling like myself at all, didn't want to do anything. I'm sure we all can relate to this at this point. And I was scrolling, I don't remember if it was Facebook or Instagram. I don't really remember when I got an Instagram, like when it became like a big thing. It may have been Instagram at this point. But there was an ad for Buti Yoga. And all I heard was like this heavy bass, and it was like doom, 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 doom. And this woman, who at the time I had no idea who it was, but she was the creator of Buti Yoga, was just moving her body, and it was yoga, but it was also like dancing. And then she was like stomping around, and I was like, what is this? I can say that now because we have TikTok, but I was like, wow, what is this? Like, how do I do it? Where is it at? Where do I find more? So of course I clicked, and then, you know, rabbit hole down. And then I went on their website, and I was like, oh, I can learn this. I can get certified. I'm like, what's better in life? Like, let's go do it. Why not? And got my spark back a little bit there. And they were hosting a training. It was around November when that happened. Because I remember I got it on a Black Friday sale, and I was extra hyped because I got it for a cheaper price. And they were holding a training, maybe an hour and a half in Feasterville. And I called up my girlfriend, Sabina, and I was like, hey, can I stay at your parents' house? Because they lived right there. I was like, can I stay at your parents' house for like this random weekend? And she was like, yeah, sure. Okay. I was like, great, thank you so much. And she had like no idea what I was doing. And then I went down for my training. Never took a class in my life, mind you. Never knew of this Buti Yoga before, or didn't know anyone that did it. I think I YouTubed it at that point because I didn't know what else to do. And I was like, okay, like, wow, okay, I can get behind this. And yeah, just showed up at training. I'm like, hello, how's everyone? You know, I'm here. And there was so many people that like, I've been doing Buti for years, or, you know, I take classes with so-and-so. And I was like, this is a thing? I was like, I thought I just discovered this, you know, like, what is this? What's going on? So a little bit intimidating. And also I was very new in like yoga practice too. And it is you know, it is a yoga, so a little bit intimidating in that regard too, because I definitely felt very strong in like the just being in the body and flowing through, and like the power aspects, because I was like trained and like certified in like the HIIT training, so like I felt really confident in those. But the yoga is, I think, where my you know, my limitations were. Nonetheless, I had that 3-day training. I had to put a demo together. I was so nervous that night. I remember being in like my, you know, my friend's like bedroom, and I'm like hopping around and doing all this and like trying to listen to music that I've never even heard before, because there's, you know, a nice genre of music and a good, like, I say a hearty genre of music, because it like goes from A to Z. And I'm listening to all these songs, and like I've never heard any of them before, trying to find the right song. And yeah, we had our demo day on that Sunday. I don't think I could even sit on the toilet. I was so sore, because like it is intense. You know it too. It is an intense training. And you know, by day one, I'm like still excited, and I'm like waking up on Saturday morning like, oh my God, like I didn't even know that muscle in my butt cheek existed, because but it's there. I feel it, and I can barely walk. And then our master trainer is like, all right, we're going down to Molossi now. And I was like, girl, I don't think I'm going to be able to get up.
Yeah.
Because, oh, yeah. So, really sore. Went into demo day. Killed that. Can I curse? I'm gonna not kill that ish.
Whatever.
I killed.
Yeah.
I felt like I killed it. But if you ask me what I did, I have no idea. Like complete demo blackout. I just remember, my first song was Powerful, and it like started, and I was like, inhale, lift your hands, and then nothing. Don't remember a single thing. And I remember at one point I was like going ham, and I don't even know if everyone was still with me at that point, but like I felt I had the power in me right at that moment, so I was good. I was just going. And my master trainer Becky, who I still keep in touch with to this day, she just wrote like fire on my email sheet, because I and looking back, or like the feeling afterwards, I definitely felt like fire in that moment, and a lot of power. And lo and behold, I hit all the poses I was supposed to hit, and I cued pretty well, and I had a pass that day, so I was really excited. Had no idea what I was doing with it yet, because like still I'm like, I thought this was like new. I thought I just saw it, like no one else knew about it, but people knew about it already. So that's like my journey of becoming Buti Yoga certified. What I miss?
Yeah. You gave us a lot of juicy goodness, because I know we even started with what got you into nursing, and we transitioned into talking about Buti, which I really love, and I want more people to know about it, because
Me too.
Yeah, like even though it's relatively known, I think there's also still a lot of people that have, like even people in the yoga community, that have no idea about what it is. And it's so unique, so different, and it's truly just, I don't know, like it's really hard to encapsulate. And I know we haven't really fully explained it yet, but if you're not familiar with Buti, Tina touched on it a little bit. So it's a mix of yoga and dance and primal movement, spiraling and shaking. And all of this is intentional movement that is meant to help you just like recalibrate, release emotions, process things without even needing to use your brain to do it. And you just experience yourself on a completely different level. I'm like getting chills talking about it, because even when we introduced it at Fuel the Fire, when the business was in person, I know I didn't do a good job enough of like promoting it, because I was just like so focused on other aspects of the business. But that was truly like my favorite piece to it, because it was just medicinal. And like I just think about the people that did show up, and time after time, like Megan, and I just think about how she said, like, I've never felt so confident about myself. Like I could actually take my shirt off in a workout and like feel really good.
I remember that day too.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I think I would teach in like, my flowy pants, or like my leggings and like a sports bra, just because it felt comfortable for me. But as you alluded to, like not everyone is at that comfortability level. But I remember that day when Meg just like, she was hot and she took off her shirt and she had a sports bra on, and I remember seeing it. I didn't say anything while we were like in the motion, and then afterwards I was like, I saw that girl.
Yeah, dude.
Because it was such like a depiction of like the embodiment of changing from the inside out, and like that's one of the things in Buti, like we help you change from the inside out through this movement, through this practice, and really through this mindset that you get into, and it's very, very freeing.
Yeah, I agree. And I learned about it through you, and I was really excited to be able to have you teach that at Fuel and like get to see what it was really about. And I genuinely, at the time when I was like, yeah, Tina, come teach at Fuel, like I had no idea that it was going to like take me down the path that I'm at today. Like I was in my like meathead phase at that time, where I was just like, oh, I lift weights, and like that's like all I did. And so the idea, and I think that concept of like the dance and the flow like intimidates a lot of people, because they're like, I'm not good at dancing, I'm not comfortable in my body. And I felt the same way, where I was just like, oh, I like dancing, but to like Arabic music, like that was the only dancing that I really felt comfortable doing. And
so what do we do? We put Arabic music in the playlist.
Yeah, now I exclusively teach with only Arabic music. But yeah, so I really love that, and I love how it has influenced me. And it was like after showing up like every Monday night, we'd be doing this, and it was like 2 years later, and then I don't know what exactly. I think I just got so into it, and then I was like, I think this is what it was. So Kelly, my cousin-in-law, she mentioned, I think like she was really interested in it too, and there was a training that was coming up in Pennsylvania, or maybe you told me about it.
Yeah, because I think I was like just pushing everyone to get certified.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
just go,
like...
it's amazing. Because so like training weekend, just to give everyone a little background, like training weekend is truly transformative. Whether you intend or plan on teaching this practice, like instructing it and guiding others, like, you know, in a classical class format or not, it's awesome. And like, I know you can speak on that. I know many others can speak on that. I know Kelly can speak on that. And it's awesome. And I love going back and auditing training. So that's just me, like I'm certified, but I'm sitting in just to kind of refresh, regain insight and perspective with different master trainers. And we were talking about this earlier, like each trainer even has their own little flavor too that they bring to it, which is so awesome, because like sometimes you need a little bit of this and sometimes you need a little bit of that. But training weekend in and of itself is just so amazing. You learn a lot about yourself, and you learn your strengths and your weaknesses, and you just learn something different and good, truly good for your body and your mind and like your insides, your whole insides. So yeah, I definitely probably said something. I'm like, you guys should go. Yeah, look, there's this one, there's this one. I think I was always looking at them just because I liked going back and being there too with, you know, whoever was certifying. And it's a special feeling too, to be there and back just with a lot of innovative mindsets too, and just different ways of movement. Because I think we all do this, like we kind of just fall into our same patterns of movement. And until we're exposed to someone that moves a little bit differently, we're like, oh, I forgot I could do that, you know, and it opens up that pathway.
Yeah, like that, it really, the experience of just like being wholly dedicated to something for a duration of time, I think it's just really beautiful. Like you're not thinking about anything other than movement and connecting with these women or men.
Yeah, there's a lot of booty boys out there.
Yeah.
Men, don't be scared.
Yeah, I made my boyfriend try it once, and he actually loved it, to my surprise. Like I was like, no way, he's gonna think this is so weird. And then like after class, I like looked at him and I was like just ready for him to like be like, that was horrible, why'd you make me do it? And he was like, I would do that again.
I honestly, so, you know, from people that identify as male, they love it. They really do. I really don't think that I've met a male that didn't enjoy that hour. Now, you know, is it their cup of tea? They would do it every week? That's, you know, up for question. But there are a number of males that like would come consistently every week, on time, ready, and like, yo, T, I'm ready for this, you know? And I applaud that, because a lot of times, like, you think of it's a women dominant type of thing, but as much as it's feminine, it taps into your masculine too. And you know, you can even hear it like through the music. Like some songs are just more heavy in the masculine type of thing, and then we get there, you know, and then some are more feminine and a little more fluid or softer, and we get there too. So it really is for both gender identities.
Yeah, because even part of what Buti is, it's like the dance between the masculine and feminine. So it's awakening both parts of you, because everyone is both. And typically we lean further into one or the other, and that's okay. It's just sometimes we can lose that balance because we identify as a certain gender.
Right.
So then we feel like, oh, well, I should be someone who's more in my feminine because I'm a female, or like I should be more in my masculine because I'm a male. And then that can actually create toxicity in our lives. And Buti is really just like bringing both together and activating both aspects to awaken parts of yourself that lie dormant otherwise. So it's like you like really do start to like remember who you are in a different way, and like to feel free. And I think dance in it of itself, just when we have those moments of like free flow where you're like, okay, shake your body, let it move how it needs to move. Like in those moments, it's just that time to like get out of your head, and you're like, I'm just in my body right now, which is, I think, like the most powerful part of Buti is like you are in your body. You can't be anywhere else during the practice.
You literally can't.
Yeah, you like you just really can't. And so that's something that, especially in America, like we are very like living in our heads, like that we're pushed to kind of do that for like most people that I coach, I should say, because obviously there's like a huge population that I do not coach in this country, but it's just like a lot of us do have jobs. A lot of my listeners, I think, can relate, because we work and our work is in our heads, and like we have to make the effort to move because it's just not something that's incorporated into our days. And like Buti allows you to move in ways that are so different, and it really releases a lot of tension that you're holding in your body. Like I especially think of it in my hips and in my heart too. So it's like the spiraling that we do, like you hold so much tension and trauma in your hip region, and when you take the time to open that up and release physically, like you get an emotional release from that. And I think a lot of people are finally starting to open up to the fact that there's a connection between our emotions and our physical body. True. And how we hold on to trauma, and like how our cells don't forget these things, even though your mental brain might block it out or ignore it or be able to like process it differently, but like it's in your body until you move it out.
Yeah, those are my favorite type of classes, you know. Yeah. Not when I'm teaching, but when I'm receiving, on the receiving end. And the classes where I just like kind of sob through my shavasana, those are the best classes, like most memorable in the sense that like I know I'm like letting so many things go. Not memorable, like I remembered everything I just did, because I don't. And that is a lot of what I hear with some of my like students too that come. Many of times it's maybe their first or second time, and you know, one person will say like, oh man, I kind of cried at the end, and then there's another human that's like, I did too. And I look at them and I just smile. I'm like, you got what you like, you got the fullness of what you didn't know that you came for. And to me it like lights me up inside in a good way, that I'm like I kind of feel like I did my job, although I don't view it as a job, you know. I always say like, I'm just driving the bus here, guys. Yeah. Like you guys can, you know, lead where it goes, because Buti too is like an energy exchange. So like if the group is just like, it needs to be more slow, low flow, like we kind of go that way. If there's a lot of energy in the room, you definitely feel it, and then we go kind of ham, you know, ham in the strategic way, of course. But I truly just I really feel like I'm like I did the job tonight. Like I was able to guide this group of people that came into where they didn't know they needed, so that they're able to release and leave in a lighter sense, you know, mentally, physically, emotionally. And it's nice to just have those little small conversations after class. And it's nice when people open up about it too, and they're transparent, because, you know, like I know sometimes like if I'm crying, I try to just be like, you know, hold it back like a little bit, or like try to be really quiet, or like I'll wipe away the tear before anyone can see it, you know, type of thing, until you become very, very comfortable in your body. But I think it's beautiful when people, you know, really just let it happen. And there's been times too when people, you know, they have a really big emotional release, and like they almost don't, I don't think they expected it, and they don't know how to handle it afterwards, and they kind of like can kind of almost like push it away. And that happened once, and there was another yoga teacher there, and you know, she was just like, I think we should go outside and just like sink our feet into the ground and kind of ground down, and we all did that together. And I think it was a really like beautiful moment for that individual and for all of us to just like show that we're supporting and connecting in that moment. Because yeah, sometimes that Buti bliss like hits you, and it can come out in crying or laughter sometimes too. But if you've kind of even remotely experienced it, you know that it's like the best feeling in the world, and you do really feel lighter.
Yeah, that was so beautifully said and really cool that you get to share that experience with the community, because a big part of Buti is the community, and you get so connected with the people that you routinely practice with, because you're all like, it feels like you're all in on this secret, and like you get to experience the power of it, and it just opens up your heart in a way that's so different than I feel like any other types of practices where, you know, again, because Buti has that intention of that medicine, like medicinal release.
Yeah, movement is medicine.
Yeah, and I just really love that as a whole. And yeah, people that don't know that's going to happen will tend to resist it, because they're like, oh, what kind of weirdo is gonna cry at a yoga session, you know? And so people like, yeah, yeah, so you, yeah, you like build up all this shame or like embarrassment around like having this emotional experience, but it's part of it. And like when people, like everyone's there to support you, and that vulnerability like goes a long way, because like even through the noises that we make, like, you know, if you're supposed to get vocal during Buti, like if you feel it, like use your breath, use your sound, and giving yourself permission to do that, you liberate other people. Like it sounds so silly, but I like, especially before I had such trouble using my voice. And so when I did my practice, like I never made noise. Like I just wouldn't, because I'm like, I'm gonna be the silent mouse. Like I don't want, you know, like I don't want anyone to hear my breathing. It's so uncomfortable. But now I'm like, no, I'm gonna be really loud about letting it out.
In the room
yeah. Like I'm gonna use my whole lungs.
Yeah.
And so like that, it's like when you do that, you really do help give other people permission to do it too. And so it's like yeah, be the one to step out and do it first. Be the one to use your voice. Like, you might feel kind of weird because no one else is, but everyone's like, maybe, like, I bet you everyone's like having that moment where like, should I do it? Should I do it? Yeah. Like, you kind of have that, like, before you let out your first, like, sound, you, like, you hesitate and you're like, okay, no. Okay, no. Do it. No, okay, no, I lost my shot. And it's just like, you're in your head and you're like,
just gotta let it go out of your head and just let it fly out of your throat.
Yeah.
Type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do feel that, you know, as I'm guiding everyone through a class, like I can almost feel that people are like holding back. And I say it, I'm like, use your voice, let it out. Like, and you know, whether it happens or not, I want to create that space, like you said, to just open it up and say like, it's okay. And like to liberate someone else to be like, it's okay to use your voice, let a whoo or a ha or a whoo. You know, like, you know how it is, like, you run up a hill and at the top you're like, whoo! Yeah. It's just that same thing, and sometimes, like, those sounds just come out, and sometimes I'm the only one making them in some classes, you know? I still do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, oh, man, I'm the only one, you know? Looking around, like, you guys there? But, you know, everyone has a different comfortability with everything in life. And it's beautiful when people kind of bust out of their shell a little bit, and I think definitely, like, we kind of talked about this, but you know, as you see someone kind of transform and they're like a regular that keeps coming back and back because they know they like crave it, they crave the movement and the energy and the love that goes around that room when we're all there, and they keep coming back and keep coming back, and when you kind of see that transformation, it really is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. So what would you say was the biggest transformation you personally had through Buti, through that experience?
Wow. Okay, give me a second.
Yeah.
Not that I'm trying to think of what to say, but I just feel like there's so many.
Share a few.
I think the self-confidence, hands down, is one of them. And I don't mean self-confidence like, ooh, I feel good in a sports bra and little booty shorts. That's not what I mean. It's just being confident in who I am. Like, and you know, like, isn't that like, you know, root chakra? You know, I felt rooted. I felt purpose. I felt like I had intention. It just gives me so much confidence in who I am and why I'm on this earth. Oh God, I feel like I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, let it out.
I just feel confident, really, and confidence in, you know, when you see confidence, you're like, wow, like, girl's so confident, you know. I feel that, and I try to carry it with me, and I think Buti helped me to have that. And like I said, you know, like again, I don't know if I found Buti or it found me at the right time, you know, like that whole little dance. I always say it found me because I was scrolling, you know. I felt very broken at that time with what I was going through, and like I said, it's not earth shattering, but for me it was, and I felt very broken, and it just made me feel very whole again. And we talked a little bit and touched on like the community aspect, and one of the things in a Buti class, like you have to make a moment, at least a moment or a few moments of community. And that's the whole premise, to know that like you're together, whether it's just like everyone's clapping their hands together, like you have to make that time for community. And there really is a whole community that does Buti, which I didn't know at that time, way back when. But you know, East Coast to West Coast, even around the world, I've been on certain certification and trainings and continuing education, and there's someone in like Switzerland, we're like, oh, what time is it there? She's like, it's 2 a.m, but here we are, you know, like ready to go. So it's really cool that Buti is even around the world now. So there's just always something for someone, and sometimes you don't even know what you're about to receive when you step foot into a Buti Yoga class or hot Buti class, or any of the formats, really.
Yeah, I love that. And I can really relate to that. I feel like that's really what it does, is like you're going to find something from it. And I feel like it always finds you in the moment that you're about to have, like, you're being called to go deeper or to have a transformation.
Yeah.
Because even around the time when I got certified, that was when I decided to like let go of my business that I had like worked so many years to build up. And I was so scared, and I felt like really uncertain about what the future was going to bring. And then it was like, why am I going to go do this yoga certification when like my life is like in shambles? I should be doing more to like figure this out. But at the same time, I was just like, no, like I want to do this now. And I think I ended up moving up my certification. I went to New Mexico to do it, which was like 10 times more of a heightening experience, just like being in the magic of New Mexico, which like, I don't know if I'm obsessed with New Mexico because of the Buti or if I'm obsessed with New Mexico.
I need to go visit because you told me about it like 15 times.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to go there next.
Like the girls that I got certified with, like I really look at them as sisters. Like we still talk and stuff, and like I went to go stay with them, and when I went down there, and I think that's like the really cool part of it. But absolutely, like hands down, like I just remember, like I was the only person not from New Mexico in that training. So I was like that token girl, which like everyone was just trying to like make me feel welcome because so many of them like already knew each other. But I just like automatically felt like I was just embraced, and I just I definitely, like I cried on the first day. Like I just was so many different emotions go through you, and like confidence was a big thing for me, especially in my body. Like to me that was always like an unconscious struggle that I was having. Like I knew I just always had like always just preoccupied with like how I look. And I think with Buti, when I move, when I'm in class, like I'm not worried about how I look. Like I think in the beginning I really was, because when you do yoga, it's like you have roles, and like, you know, like, you know, it's not a
sometimes it's not pretty.
It's something where it's just like you're like, oh, I shouldn't show this, or like, you know, but you can't really hide it. And for me, like it was like another thing where it's like, I would start, when I started doing videos, like wearing t-shirts and leggings, and then like now I just want to wear like little shorts and like a little sports bra, because it's an opportunity for me to feel my whole body. Like during the practice, I love the feeling of touching my own skin, because it's really helped me feel so much more connected to my body and feel confident like in my skin, which was like I just see that a lot for a lot of other people too, where it's it's like moving your body in certain ways that just like it feels like sexy, you know, like
Yeah.
you feel like I'm in my power, like I'm fucking, like nobody can mess with me, like I'm bad, like I really do feel that, like when after I do booty I'm just like every part of me is just like, God, I love this body, and like I've been looking for something that makes me feel this, like no person, no thing, no outfit could ever make me feel this, but like this practice made me feel this, and like that
again, like it's on the inside.
Yeah, 100%. Like it's in you, and it's like that's what I love about it, because it's, to me, like your body has so much medicine, like just waiting to be like tapped into. And that's like one of the ways that you can do it. So yeah, I love it.
Me too. And I was so excited when, you know, you went out to your certification weekend and Kelly went out to hers too. Kelly was local, so I was able to go there for the middle day, like Saturday, the master class in the morning. Emily was there, another great master trainer that I have the privilege of getting to know a little bit. And yeah, it's awesome. And then I think, what was it, last summer, we road tripped to Sarah's studio, who Sarah's a new master trainer. And there was a few people there too. It was like, it was awesome to move with all of them too, because again, we said there's like a little bit of flavor with each, you know, master trainer. So to be able to like tap into like their flavor was so awesome. Now I'm like forgetting who was there.
I'm forgetting her name, but there were two other master trainers there.
It's okay.
I can remember their faces.
I know, me too.
I know, but it's funny because they're like on Buti TV. Like,
yeah,
both of them.
They were both great though.
Yeah.
I like loved being there, and I just remember there was this one movement we did with like our arm behind our back, and I was like, what? But
yeah.
like, it was so intentional, and like I knew what I was opening up and strengthening at that moment, which was awesome because I had never done that before. And like just even little like movements with the wrist, sometimes switching the wrist, like there's just so much intention through all of it, and you don't even know what you're doing at the time, and you know it's moving quickly and dynamically, so you can't explain it all the time, but there's definitely like just love and energy there.
Yeah, I think that's what's fun, because every teacher, it's like it's an intuitive practice, so it's not like orchestrated.
Sure.
Which throws people off, because usually yoga is like very organized, like do this side and then you do this side. And like with Buti, I remember being so concerned that when I teach, like I'm not going to remember to do the other side, because you're not supposed to do sides consecutively. But you just have to trust yourself, and you just do it. Like you don't, like you're just like, oh yeah, it's that time to do that other thing. Like it just comes to you, you know, like you don't really have to try to remember. That's like another beautiful part of the practice, is it's such a good way to like build trust in yourself and like be guided by your inner, like you just know that like when you need to know, you're gonna know, and you don't have to worry about it.
You just reminded me, that's another thing that came to me like as I transformed, is like learning how to trust myself. Because yes, like you're worried about, am I giving everyone a balanced class? You know, I did warrior 2 on this side, did I get it on the other side? And there's definitely times in class I'm like, wait, did we do this side? Because like it just felt good for me to go into that, but also I was like, I've been here before, was it on the left or on the right? And most times you know, like you'll be there, like my sister, she's like, you're good. I'm like, okay, great, okay, back to what we were doing, you know, even though I'm already doing it. But it really did enable me to find that trust in myself. And sometimes you don't know you're about to hit, like, you know, close it off. You know, if I did it on the right, I'm doing it on the left, but you're in a pose or an asana, or you're dynamically moving, and then you just flow right into it. You're like, oh yeah, I meant to do this right now, you know. And you mentioned a lot about it being an intuitive practice, and it definitely is. So for our listeners that don't know Buti, you know, it's not pre-planned. It's not written down beforehand. We don't have a script in front of us that says like we're doing, you know, this pose, this asana that's going to flow into this. I definitely think like I listen to music and I'm like, oh, it'll be dope to like hit, you know, this type of series through that, or like a warrior 2 series, or, to kind of get like a little like drumming on the ground through this song. I can't say that happens in a class, but I could be in my car jamming on the way to class and be like, yeah, and then during class something completely different happens. So it's not like written down, formulated. We really just flow to the music and the energy that's in the room too. So, when the music gets high and heavy bass and heavy hitting, we'll probably do something that's, a little more powerful, maybe like burpees. And when it's a little slower, we might be flowing through like a warrior two to a side angle and really like opening up the side bodies and slowing down some of those movements that we're doing. And that's another big, beautiful part of Buti too. It's also allowed me to be very creative, in a sense, and like go into different asanas and poses and sequence them together that I could not have thought of that unless I was in that moment at the exact time with those people in that room and not thinking. And it sounds weird saying that, like I don't think as an instructor. I definitely think. I'm always thinking like what's coming next and like the beats in the song and like when the beat drops and like the next song that's coming up, because you definitely have to like know your music. But sometimes it just comes without thought.
Yeah.
You're
just like feeling into the next step.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, right now in this moment, like I know beat's about to come, like to that beat from this position, I just want to move this way. And like you just let it happen. So it's just like you're in that constant like feedback of like mind body. It's just like pinging back and forth so quickly.
Definitely. And I can honestly say I have no other thoughts in the world during like that hour 15 or sometimes 50-minute class. No other thought. I could have a whole lot of thoughts when I'm like, okay guys, easy seat or half lotus or crisscross applesauce, and pressing play and the music starts. I could have a lot of thoughts right then, but take a deep breath. And I don't know if it's the same for you, but I can't think of I don't think of anything except for like my body and what I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean,
really get lost.
You can, and I think it's good to sometimes. Just like you forget about time, you forget about everything that's not there. And if a thought, like there have been times where, like if I'm coming to class after, like if I just had like worked right up into the second I was leaving for class, like sometimes because I didn't fully have an energetic close on my work because I felt rushed to like change really quickly and then get in the car and get to class. Like when I do that, sometimes I'll have thoughts like pop up and then I just come back and I'm like, okay, be more intentional with your movement. Like the fact that you can allow a thought to come in means like you're not being as intentional with everything that you're doing with your body.
I like that.
Yeah, so it's like it might be, and it depends on when the moment comes, or like when we're slapping the mat, I'm like, all right, slap the mat harder, hit your chest harder, like wake your body up, like come back into this vehicle.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like a good reminder. And because I think it's normal, it's like human nature, it's gonna happen. Like you might have, like, I'm sure there are people that find that they do yoga and they have all these thoughts come up and they're like, what's wrong with me? And like, like there's nothing wrong with you. That's normal. Like, that's like same with meditation. Like you're gonna have thoughts come up. It's just a matter of like, okay, once you notice you're getting back into your head, cue yourself back into your body.
Right. Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
When that thought comes in, like, do you let it stay there or do you just be like, hold up, 5 minutes, or 10, maybe 55 more minutes if it's soon.
Yeah, it's like, all right, back to my breathing. And it's like, I escaped myself, just back to my breathing, or like back to my movement, or like whatever it might be. And like, it's okay. Like, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of continuously pulling yourself back in and knowing that it's going to happen and being okay with that it's going to happen. And the less resistance you have to it, it's like the easier it is to put yourself back in your body. You're like, oh, I'm doing that thing where I get into my head. Come back into my body. Yeah. It's like you don't have to like hate yourself or shame yourself for it, which a lot of people do, and then just want to quit.
Sure, yeah. This is too hard.
Yeah.
I can't do this. I can't get a mindset. I can't focus. It's true.
So true.
I like that advice that you gave.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. All right, so we're coming up on time. So I just wanted to say, do you have any last takeaway that you want to like, just like a one-liner?
Yeah, come to class.
That's it. I love that. Perfect. Awesome. Do you people really enjoyed this conversation? What's a way that people can connect with you online? Like, where do you like to hang out in the internet space?
Okay, so I would say connect with me in person at class.
Yes, yes.
So I always tell people, Buti, I can try to explain it, but I cannot explain the feelings that you will have, before, during, and after. And I love asking people, like, what'd you think? How'd you feel? And they're like, wow. And I said, and then I always ask, did you look up anything before you came? And a lot of times they're like, well, I kind of looked, kind of did this. And they're like, but not really. They're like, but it was completely, it was anything like I didn't expect, and I was like, good or bad? And they're like, good. I'm like, great. So definitely connecting in person is always better, because then we can have that like one-on-one, or like, just feeling the energy of like everyone that comes to the class that day. But I also do have an Instagram. It's Tina_tone_, I think. But I will make sure that Shanon has my correct information for like the links with the podcast. I also have a personal account, Tina Jazz, too. But a lot of the yoga is primarily posted on Tina Tone, and you can see like I have some videos up there, just like some sped up time lapses of all the classes, and just so you can kind of see how the body flows around. If you're one of those that's like, I need to know what I'm getting into, you can definitely do that. I have another video up there. It's just of me, but just doing a lot of like the different dynamic stuff we do in Buti. Again, if you need to know what's coming before you come. But yeah, definitely come out, find me, find Shanon. If Kelly's teaching soon, find Kelly. If you can't find one of us or it doesn't work for your schedule, I'm definitely one to be driving, to Jersey, to Philly, to go see some of our Buti Yoga friends and our master trainers. There's definitely trainings going on all the time, all over the world, East Coast, West Coast. So I'm definitely one to be like, hey, who wants to hop in the car? Let's go, because I love just being with people and moving with people, and just having that connection, whether it's a half day, full day, or a couple of hours. It's definitely a lovely time. So I'd say in person is the best way.
Yes. Yeah, and for anyone that's like not from this area too, like there's Butis all over the United States.
Oh yeah, just Google search that.
Yeah, you'll absolutely find places. Like I was in a random city in Texas and I thought, no way. And there was a place that had Buti. But yeah, I think I told someone the other day, I think I was telling this story of how you and I like drove 3 hours to go to like this gym and this restaurant, and they're like, what's wrong with you?
Connecticut.
Yeah, it was a good time. But hey, yeah, I'm with you. I love a good trip for a good cause.
Yeah, food.
Love it.
It was really pretty food, guys, just so you know.
We would do nothing less. Awesome. Thanks so much for listening, guys.
Thanks for having me. Hope to see you guys soon.